Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring a deeply fascinating and honestly profoundly relevant concept from the Nusantara path of wisdom. It's called Paramalenyep. Now, if you've ever felt this deep sense of modern exhaustion, that feeling of just being totally overwhelmed in our hyper-connected, data-driven world where absolutely everything is measured, but somehow so many things still feel kind of meaningless? Trust me, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to unpack the source material that explores exactly what happens when our systems simply outpace our humanity.
Right off the bat, the source material hits us with this incredibly stark question: has knowledge actually helped us become more human? I mean, really, think about it. We live in an age where we measure absolutely everything. We track productivity, performance, profit margins, efficiency, literally down to the millisecond. We put our absolute, unquestioning trust in numbers, systems, and algorithms to guide our daily lives. And yet, despite all of this incredible technological advancement, there's this growing feeling of disconnection. People feel disconnected from a sense of meaning, from their local communities, and honestly, even from themselves. So the text challenges us to stop asking how much do we know and start asking this much deeper question instead.
Now, what's really interesting about this contrast is how it reframes our modern approach using this ancient wisdom. The entire foundation of our modern civilization relies on objective systems, right? Facts, data, evidence, measurement. And to be totally clear, the source material acknowledges that these things are absolutely vital. Science, law, technology, they all depend on them to build order and drive progress. But the Paramalenyep worldview invites us to see something much, much deeper. It argues that human life simply cannot be reduced to a spreadsheet of numbers. It's really about finding a balance, a delicate balance between thought and feeling, between cold logic and human conscience, between raw, calculating intelligence and actual, grounded wisdom.
Because here's the thing. When we lean way too heavily on those cold, objective systems, we hit the core problem identified in the text. Knowledge has lost its soul. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, it means that you can have a corporate policy that is 100% statistically correct, perfectly efficient on paper, and yet it's emotionally destructive to the real people working under it. You can have a legal decision that is technically valid according to the strict letter of the law, but is completely and socially unjust. You can build a system that functions flawlessly, while it slowly, quietly erodes human empathy, dignity, and trust in the real world.
And that brings us to our working definition for today. Paramalenyep is a Nusantara philosophy teaching that knowledge must be felt through consciousness. It essentially asserts that reason without ethical awareness totally loses its direction. I really want to emphasize here, based on the text, that this is absolutely not a rejection of science, reason, or logic. No way! Rather, it's a reminder. It's an invitation to complete our logic with human awareness. In this tradition, knowledge was never separated from life itself. It always carried a responsibility.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 1. Decisions create new realities.
So, let's zoom in on how this plays out in our everyday lives. We make decisions constantly, right? Hundreds of them a day. But the source material challenges our foundational understanding by asking, what exactly is a decision? Is it just a rational, mechanical choice? Is it merely a legal action or a technical process designed to fix a problem? We usually tend to think of decisions as just answering questions or fixing immediate issues, but the text suggests that a decision is actually something far, far more powerful than just a simple rational output.
You see, modern systems often treat decisions as a mechanical outcome. You analyze the data, you apply the rules, you reach a conclusion. Bam, done. It's efficient, it's structured. But the Nusantara tradition sees decision-making as an ontological act, which means no decision ever exists in a vacuum. Every single decision changes relationships. It changes the level of trust. It actively shapes how people experience life. When a leader creates a new policy, they aren't just writing rules. They are shaping the emotional atmosphere of a society. They are literally creating a new social reality built on either hope or fear.
And this leads us to a bold, almost counterintuitive philosophical statement from the text. Subjectivity must be cultivated. Now, modern civilization often tries its absolute hardest to eliminate subjectivity entirely, right? We aim for pure, cold objectivity. But Paramalenyep argues that human beings can never be completely objective. Because let's face it, we aren't robots running on perfectly clean code. Our decisions are always influenced by perception, by memory, culture, and emotion. Since we can't just remove our subjectivity, leaving it uncontrolled just leads to manipulation and abuse. Therefore, we have to actively refine and discipline our subjectivity through ethical consciousness.
Section 2. The Panca Niti Compass. So, if we need to cultivate our subjectivity, we obviously need a framework to act as a living ethical compass. Enter the Panca Niti principles. Let's walk through these together. First up, Niti Harti. This reminds us to achieve true, deep understanding before we act. Second, niti bhakti. This asks us to deeply examine our own intentions with absolute sincerity. Third, niti bhukti demands real presence and responsibility, meaning real action rather than just empty words. And finally, niti sajayati directs our decisions toward collective well-being and social harmony. Together, these principles aren't just rigid doctrines. They transform decision-making from a mere exercise of authority into a profound act of service.
Take a moment and just let the weight of this idea sink in. Every decision creates a reality someone else must live in tomorrow. Whether you're a judge, a corporate leader, a community organizer, or a parent, you are constantly building an invisible emotional architecture for others. True leadership, according to this philosophy, isn't measured by authority. It's measured by the realities it creates for other people.
Section 3, Justice as Human Healing. And this brilliantly illustrates how the philosophy applies at the macro level to a whole civilization. It addresses our modern polarization perfectly. Standard punitive systems prioritize optimizing outcomes, enforcing strict order, and meting out punishment. But restorative justice, which is deeply aligned with Paramalenyep, prioritizes healing the human experience. It focuses on restoring trust, restoring human dignity, and bringing harmony back to the community. Modern systems optimize, ancient wisdom heals.
Within this framework, conflict is viewed through a completely different lens. The text points out that conflict shouldn't just be viewed as an annoyance that we need to eliminate or manage. Instead, conflict is a vital signal. Think about a rift in your own workplace or your community. It's a flashing indicator that relationships, dignity, or the balance between people and their shared reality has been wounded. You can't just punish a wound away, right? It has to be understood and it has to be treated.
This demands we rethink progress itself. A mature civilization is not defined by how strongly it punishes, but by how deeply it understands healing. This really asks us to reconsider what makes a society advanced in the first place. Is it just sheer technological power and economic strength? Or is it the ability of its institutions to listen before judging and to use knowledge not to control society, but to actually nurture it?
So how do we actually apply this? Well, the text lays out clear sequential steps for completing modern logic. And notice it says completing, not abandoning. We need to 1. Bring awareness back to knowledge. 2. Bring compassion back to power. And 3. Bring meaning back to progress. This is exactly how Paramalenyep suggests we humanize our rapidly accelerating future. It's the only way to ensure the systems we rely on actually serve us rather than control us.
So the crucial point is this core truth. Knowledge builds systems. Wisdom builds civilization. Knowledge alone gives us the tools, the tech, and the data to construct incredibly efficient, fast-moving systems. But utility and intelligence just aren't enough to sustain us. It requires conscious wisdom to take those systems and weave them into a civilization where human beings can actually thrive, feel connected, and find real meaning.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought straight from the source material. Look at the systems around you right now, in your workplace, in your government, in your daily digital life. Are the systems we're built today actually helping humanity grow, or simply helping it move faster? It's a massive question and one without a simple answer, but it's one that demands our awareness, because once that awareness is awakened, it rarely returns to sleep. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me today. Let those ideas settle and keep asking the big questions.